Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's that time again where we have the Hakkinen series back at it. This time in Imola for a sprint weekend, which is always a bit of fun, bit of chaos, as if we needed more. But we will see what happens. So we got the usual suspects in here. My game's a little loud, so I'll probably turn it down. One shot quali into an 11 lap sprint race, probably on the mediums, without a pit stop, and then into the full race. Exciting times. Now I've changed, you might notice the music is now the theme and not the playlist, because last time I streamed this section of the VOD got muted for copyright reasons, so I was in trouble, but not anymore. Ooh, and it's soaked for quali, is that? Wow, that's scary. Good luck, everyone. Alright, we might just quickly take a couple notches out of the audio. Yeah, that sounds about right. Alright, this is going to be chaotic, I reckon. We don't know what the weather's going to be like for the whole weekend, so you would assume, though, that people will be on their dry setups if the race is dry, so the quali might be a little sketch. And we're away already, I mean, let's go. So, yeah, look, it's tricky to do the one-shot qualies, like commentate them. All we can say is Snickers, KC, Wild, they clearly have the lower downforce setups, just from the straight line speed. It's the full wets, so no messing around. Cato, the first to retire from the session, will be starting in P14 for the sprint. But yeah, we might flick around a little bit, see, we've seen a little bit of Snickers, we'll look at Noxie in the Red Bull. Bring up some data, I reckon, some data, depending on how you want to. I mean, obviously the tyres are not a problem. Telemetry, though, that's what the people want to see. We'll check in with Sec in the McLaren to get a little ride on board. This is a tricky chicane to be doing in the wet. I mean, Sec making it look easy. So we got Val at the moment coming across the line first. It's going to probably depend on this exit, but Val is going to get pole, followed by Sec, Snickers, Wild, KC, Aussie Dude, Viking, Yoshi, Valhalla, Cheezer, and then Rico with a late disqualification. So there you go. Bit of a skill driving in the wet, especially if you need a dry setup for the race. So 127.1 is the pole time, all the way down to a 126. So almost 10 seconds separating first from 10th. Obviously, that's going to be more in the wet than it is. Go KC. Nothing short of first, you reckon? Yeah, I mean, 5th at the moment, but definitely has the chance of moving up. We might follow on with KC for the start of the race. See what happens into turn 1. More importantly, though, is it going to be dry or is it going to be wet? Let's see. It's dry. Okay. So this will be interesting. We'll see whose setup is better suited to the dry. Obviously, we don't know what the weather's going to be like for the main race, so there might be a bit of a mix going on. Of course, we have the formation lap. So in terms of tyre choice, what do we got? We got everyone on mediums except the Viking, who is on softs. Now, I don't personally know about that. I don't know that you can really do 11 laps on the softs. But I guess we will find out. That is going to be pretty interesting. Maybe relying on a safety car, which is a good assumption. Could definitely happen for sure. Oh yeah, this car sounds so crisp. I noticed that Viking has changed his name to the Viking and then in brackets GR. I don't know if that's the new thing or not, but if the cool kids are all doing it, maybe we need to get around it. So predicted stop strategy for the sprint is obviously no stops, because you don't have to do one. And it doesn't really make sense to stop. Unless maybe you're the Viking. In which case, the one-stopper double soft strat could be OP. We'll find out. Alright, so as everyone heading to their slot on the grid, we should, as always, thank our sponsors. Sully's Shirts, Shutter Media, and Sim Racing SA. Check out their websites, their links on our Facebook page, our Discord. And yeah, if you want to join in, get involved, send us a message. Couple disqualifications on the line. Well, 4 so far. We'll see if we get anyone else. Nah, C-Savs and Cato with the clutch. Okay, I don't know why it's making 2 sounds. But anyway, 5 lights, long hold, and away they go. Bit of a late reaction from most drivers. We've seen a couple position changes, not too much though. Rico moving up a bit. Everything seems pretty chill so far, no major problems. Val already a 2.5 seconds on the rest of the field. The Viking has already moved up into 5th, so KC dropping down a position there to the Viking. No damage though as we follow the rest of the cars through the pack. No, we seem to be okay. We have a change of position there. C-Savs moves up 1. Val, though, just driving off already. We're going to ride on board with Viking. Just see how much time it's possible to gain through here on these soft tyres. Isn't really gaining any time through there, so that's embarrassing. Apologies for highlighting that. But I'm sure... Oh, and a bit of an issue there from one of the Red Bulls. That was Noxy, I believe, that had the problem. And definitely some some front wing damage, I think, maybe from Cat or Aussie Dude. We'll have to see if somebody dives into the pits. Aussie Dude seems fine. So does Cat, actually. So no, we seem all good. Nobody ducking into the pits. Maybe Noxy, but we will find out. Val now 1 second clear, and Wild all over the back of Snickers has managed to drop the Viking a little bit, so we can see they're using the full range of the curb, trying to maximize the corner exit speed. We got Rico and Yoshi both sort of queuing up behind KC here, who's dropped quite a lot of time to the Viking, 2.5 second gap. As we flick forward a bit, we'll see Wild still all over the back of Snickers, who's going to be looking to make some moves soon, I imagine. A little further down the field, we have CSAVs. The two Ferraris really are the cars on the backs of others. There's a little move down into the second to last corner there. Very well held around the outside by Valhalla. But a great exit here from CSAVs. And a quick and kind of scary jump to the left there leaves CSAVs with 10th position. So Val has very much been caught up now. Sek has closed that gap right up to about half a second, but then further back, Snickers is 2 seconds behind. CSAV's moving up another position to find himself in 9th, so really cutting through the field at this point. Has Rico next, but Rico himself is on the back of KC, who has lost the position to Yoshi, who's moved up into 6th. And still, even though the Viking on the better tyres has yet to really make too much progress, has moved up just the 1 spot from KC. Avanti and Kato there swapping positions on the left side of your screen. We just missed that, unfortunately. You got to expect some movement to happen here, though. There's a bit of a train forming. Who is going to get the best run? Rico taking it real wide to try and shake the DRS, but we see that CSAV's maybe just has the better straight line setup. Is that rain? Am I seeing rain? I think I'm seeing rain. If that's the case, that is huge for Viking. We see Avanti just coming out of the pits on fresh, slick tyres, and that is definitely rain that we're seeing. So that's a tricky call. Definitely Inters could be the go in 1 or 2 laps. Maybe Avanti could have jumped the field and tried a bit of a crazy strat. This train still in full swing though, still chugging along. We got Val in front, dropped Sek out of DRS range now as CSAVs goes for another move down the inside, and DRS now disabled, so no more DRS train. And that is usually an indication that the right call is the intermediate tyres. Yoshi makes the call to go in, speeds through the pit lane by entering late, but CSAVs fakes it and stays out. So we got CSAVs, KC, Rico, all still close behind each other. And then further back, Yoshi, Aussie Dude, Kato, Noxy, all in the pits for the Inters. Very, very interesting situation here. KC runs a little wide. Rico trying to make the most of it, but has a little moment. We do see Avanti coming into the pits too. It's looking quite wet out on the track now. Let's see how Val is doing, who is leading this race. Needs to be hitting this pit window at the exact right time. Could be this lap. It's looking pretty rough out there, and seeing Rico sliding around is probably an indication that things are quite rough. We can see Yoshi taking quite a bit of time out of Julius Cheeser, so the Inters are definitely seeming to be the right call. If we... big penalties though for Val and Sek, I believe. If we have a look at the gap to the leader, we can see that Yoshi is at about 40 seconds. The pit stop here is maybe 20 something. It's a pretty long pit lane, so everyone now in, though. Nobody's choosing to stay out. Is Val going to come out in first place? Absolutely. So there you go. The order pretty much preserved. Everyone choosing to pit at the same time. Although Val has dropped a little bit of time to Sek, who now finds himself within that 1 second range. But of course, with no DRS, it's not going to be as big a problem. So Sek with the 5-second penalty, Yoshi with one as well for speeding in the pit lane. As we head all the way back to Aussie Dude, we can see quite a few cars that are sort of bumper to bumper at this point, which is always tricky in the wet. You can never be sure where people are going to be braking, especially through here, where it's, as Aussie Dude shows us, it's often a good idea to lift and be careful through there. Little fake to the inside, nothing much happening yet though. If we head forward though, CSAVs with the proper racing line through here, Yoshi forced to go a bit defensive, so we could see, we will see an overtake here pretty easy for CSAVs up the inside. Now Val has lost the lead, it seems, to Sek. Not sure if that was a little bit of a moment that Val had, or if it was just the power of the straight line speed. The rear end of that McLaren getting a little twitchy on exit there though, so definitely these two driving right at their limit. Val does seem to be dropping a bit of time though, a couple of tenths, maybe 3 tenths through those 3 corners. Has made up some time through there though, and a really good exit is going to help Val out quite a bit, and of course with that penalty is going to help him out quite a bit actually. It's going to be probably a first place if you can stay within 5 seconds of Sek. Snickers will be looking to do the same to move up into second, bump Sek down to third. See Snickers coming through there, using some of the energy, trying to stay in range. As Sek opens up basically a second gap now, with Avanti picking up a penalty. Not going to matter too much for somebody in last. Val with a penalty though, that could make a difference if Sek can open up a 2-second gap. Snickers possibly on for a win in the sprint once these penalties taken into account though. We're going to head further back the field to look at Rico, who's again all over the back of a Red Bull, this time the Red Bull of Noxy. KC just behind too, with a couple cars queuing up. Aussie Dude and Cato. If we check in on board with Aussie Dude, we can see that little train occurring. Rico though getting very close through this section. KC and Cato changing positions. I wonder if Aussie Dude will be looking for something as well. It absolutely does. Not sure how that overtake happened through there. KC dropping 2 positions. Maybe had a little bit of a moment. Oh, speaking of a little bit of a moment, Aussie Dude very much having one, and sort of cutting the second part of that chicane, running over the grass. Did a pretty good job to keep that in a straight line, in all fairness. Sec now with the gap at about 1.1 seconds, just dropping to 1 second now. So we're going to see, as Cat has gapped KC, Aussie Dude has the slipstream. Does he have the late braking skills? Is going to go for it. And he's going to hold it very well through there. So a huge move from Aussie Dude to make that overtake. Didn't look like that was going to be enough, but if you brake later, you're in the clear. Heading further up the field now, though, we can look at Rico, who has kind of caught up to the back of another train. We've got Yoshi, Noxy, Rico, all within about a second of each other. 5-second gap, of course, to 5-second penalty, of course. For Yoshi, as we see Noxy go down the inside. Didn't leave too much space. Rico obviously seeing the opportunity to sneak in there, wisely backs out when it's clear that that's going to look a little rough. We're going to see, is Yoshi going to go for this? Absolutely he will, as completely in front of Noxy by the end of the straight. Noxy, though, still all over the back of the Haas in front. Now for Yoshi, this battle is not too important. In fact, it's probably could be better to let these two cars past and stop losing so much time. Yoshi comes across, doesn't quite manage to go up the inside there, Noxy, but is, like I say, still all over the back. CSAV's a little bit further up, is very much following close. And is that Wild up ahead too? So the two Ferraris getting very close on track. Ah, and a big crash here from Val on the straight by the looks of it. Where has that happened? In the pit? Is that a retirement in the pit? That's crazy. I don't know what happened there. Well, Val out of the race. Sec now with just the one lap to go. In first, needs to gain another maybe 2 tenths. I mean, is almost there. Noxy side by side at the moment, going into turn 3, is that? Turn 4, something like that. Rico pushed a little wide, goes on to the gravel, but keeps it pointed the right way, which is, you know, what you want. Yoshi, though, is going to stand to lose a fair few positions here, maybe 3 or 4. But what we want to look at for the remainder of this race is this gap between Snickers and Sec. Come on, Snickers. You just got to keep a few hundredths. With a good exit here, could manage it. Oh, big kick of oversteer, and Sec will keep the win, even with that 5-second penalty. Snickers will take second. Wild will cross the line in third, with fourth going to the Viking, and then Yoshi will be in 6th. Of course, CSAV's in 5th, but Yoshi will probably drop down to about 10th here. Not quite. Okay, so just sneaks in ahead of Kato, Aussie Dude, KC, who finds himself down in 11th. And then we have Valhalla. Well, we did have Valhalla until the crash. And then, yeah, I don't know what happened there. I'm not sure what happened with Val, because it looked like that crash happened in the pits. and I missed it, so that's my bad. Well done, guys. Yeah, that was a tricky one to deal with. Changing conditions in a sprint race. Scary, scary. Yeah, Vlad, what happened? Might find out in the chat. We'll see. But there you have it. So maximum points there for Sec with 8. And of course for sprint races, points are awarded all the way down to 8, who gets 1 point. So congratulations to Yoshi there, for picking up that remaining point. And this will be the order that we have our racing. So with rain in quali, and then after the first few laps of the sprint, I wonder what we will see in the race. It's looking quite a lot clearer, a lot sunnier. Hopefully that's an indication of things to come. We have yet to hear word from Val about what happened, but alright, so we got just a few more seconds. We will jump into formation lap, and then we'll have our race. Those people up on top of the pit wall, thrilled to be watching, clapping away. Yeah, great. Alright, so our formation lap begins. Let's check on our tyre choice. So, a big range going on. We've got Sec starting on the mediums. As we can see, the predicted stop strategy there. Your one stop is at about 14 to 19. Probably more like 19. I don't really know why you would do a two-stop. Viking and Cheeser, both the Mercedes, going with the alternate strategy. It's a risky strategy. We'll see if it pays off for them. Because we have CSAV, Snickers, and Val all starting on the hards. For Val, it makes perfect sense. Being faster than most of the cars ahead, but also sort of starting out of position on the grid. We'll be able to outlast everyone else, and hopefully, with a well-timed safety car, could get a free stop. We'll find out. I wonder if one of the reasons that the Mercedes have chosen the softs could be for weather-related reasons. If there's a patch of rain on the way, as we see Vlad warming the tyres in a bit of a, or Val, sorry, warming the tyres in a bit of a unique way there, with a bit of a 360, but you know, it works. They'll be nice and toasty, I imagine. We'll see if Val can get to the end here without, oh my word, that is some aggressive warming. I always like seeing a good burnout too, so we'll ride on board all the way up to the grid slot. And just to put the pressure on, we'll also watch them choose their position. Oh, speaking of burnouts, we have our first victim of the day. Valhalla there with a spin. Oh, aggressive pointed angle there from Val to cover off. That's going to be an interesting one. All right. This is a terrible angle to start from, by the way, so we're going to ride on board, I think. Alright, we've got our lights on. And away we go. Snickers pulling all the way to the right there. and getting a fantastic launch with these hard tyres, but then, okay, well, I thought there was a fantastic launch, but now I'm not sure what's happened. So Snickers goes from second all the way down to sixth off the start, and really tricky one there. Viking, though, these soft tyres are paying off all the way up into second, as we see Snickers dropping another position, and Valhalla leaving the session. Snickers leaving the session. There could be some connection problems that could have something to do with Snickers' start. That's a tricky thing to say. Further back, though, we've got this battle going on. Yeah, so Snickers is currently an AI. Possibly same with Val. I'm not sure. That is not the line for Cat. But with only a ghost car behind, we avoid damage. Position change between Snickers and Rico. So Snickers is obviously going to fall probably all the way to the back of the grid. Val also has DC'd, so we've got quite a few people with some connection problems. Right now we're going to ride on board with Yoshi in the Haas, who had that 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane in the sprint. Now finds himself in 5th behind the 2 Ferraris. And is going to probably want to get in front. A little bit of a spin there from Avanti. We see some pieces left on the track, and is that a safety car? Or just lots of yellow flags? It is. It's a VSC. So just a VSC for now. So nothing should be happening. We shouldn't see any of the soft runners hop into the pits. But I don't know, maybe it could be good time. Change to hards, go to the end. That's what I would do. Hell yeah. That's a strat right there. Yoshi all over the back of CSAFs. Let's hopefully we don't see anyone pick up a drive-through or a penalty. We see Noxy does come into the pits, so same with Snickers. So okay, well that would explain why there's no wing on that car. If we head back to CSAVs in the Ferrari, we've got a couple cars here that are quite close together. Wild on the mediums in front, kind of pulling CSAVs along at the moment. That crossover point isn't coming for quite some time, until about lap 10, maybe 15, something like that. As Wild goes quite wide there. I think maybe could have got a warning for that, not sure though. Ooh. And aggressive across the chicane from CSAVs, which you do kind of have to be with that one. Aussie Dude has just popped up as now playing F1 on my friends list, so could be coming back in. Hopefully, Cato with the fastest lap there, down in 7th on the medium tyres, so the soft runner's not the fastest out on track right now. As we see a lovely shot of the 2 Ferraris. Their home race, of course, for the Ferraris at Imola. Or one of 2 home races, I guess. Also a home race for... who's the other one? Somebody else. Is it Alfa Romeo? Wild goes quite wide there, takes the inside line, and you've got to imagine that this is now costing CSAV some time. So if there are any team orders at Ferrari, which we know that there aren't, because, I mean, nobody knows what's going on there. But hopefully CSAVs and Wild are more qualified than the team at Ferrari. We see Cheesa and Avanti there. Avanti going around the outside, Cheesa holding it on the inside. Things getting a little scrappy out there. Getting the fastest lap. And a big lock up there from Cheesa on those soft tyres. Finds himself in the gravel. Manages to keep the car pointed the right way. But does drop quite a few spots. Has the DRS though. If we head a little bit further along, which I should bring up some telemetry as well, we see CSAVs now with 65%, and Wild in front had a flashing light there, so under 10%, maybe on 20 now. So CSAVs is really gonna be wanting to get past as soon as possible. Rico, who's pitted on 4-lap-old mediums, has come out on softs, so I'm not quite sure what the best strategy is here. I feel like the one-stop medium to hard is probably ideal, but a lot of people choosing to pick up a little bit of a soft tyre stint. We're going to ride on board with CSAVs along this straight, as you've got to expect. With Wild harvesting the energy, there should be, even with the DRS, a pretty easy overtake here for CSAVs. And one that Wild hopefully won't be making too difficult for his teammate. As we see, he does not. And CSAV's there with a blinking light ahead too, so Viking should be an easy target on the next straight. CSAV's probably has about 50% left, 35 we can see. Viking with 10. So CSAV's all over the Viking though. 5 laps on the softs is probably the crossover point, you would think. 5 laps is about all they can take in terms of peak performance anyway. They'll definitely be dropping off from now on. Wild all over the back of his teammates still. So a bit of a Ferrari squabble going on. Just to check back in with our previous sprint race leader, Val, who is in a Mercedes? What? Did I not just press? Okay, so now we're on board with Val. Viking pits, so the softs were falling off. 6 laps is the limit for the Viking. Val, on the other hand, who started on the hards, has now managed to make his way all the way up to 8th with that pit stop from the Viking, and is harvesting some ERS on the straight there, and might even have this overtake as well on Avanti, as we see a move down the inside. Avanti holds it though, and that's kind of like I guess that's a racing incident, not much that you can do about that. Val tries to hold it around the outside of the second part of the chicane. They just sort of knock wheels a little bit, but no damage should have been inflicted there. Val, though, even on these hard tyres, is really piling on the pressure. We can see just how aggressive you have to be over that curb. Even running the rumble strip on the side, keeping the traction down for Val. Gonna need to get a good exit here, although Avanti ahead with no DRS and Val using some energy. This should be pretty straightforward as he keeps the slipstream all the way down. We'll see, we'll run on board with Avanti. No way to hold that around the outside, as Val moves back onto the racing line and is away. So there we go. Are we going to see another overtake? Aussie Dude also queuing up behind Avanti, so a couple cars trying to make a pass here. Rico on the fresh-ish softs will set the fastest lap of a 1:18, which is pretty impressive stuff. Val ahead with a blinking light would indicate that they are running low on the ERS, which is early in the race for those people that are already struggling. And we see some yellow flags. That is a Red Bull. It's of Noxie. Has had a bit of a tricky time coming out of that hairpin at the end or the start of Sector 2. Pretty common place to come unstuck with some wheel spin. Now we should see Aussie Dude here with the DRS, and Avanti not having it, takes that same line again and isn't going to be able to hold it. But the good thing about Avanti, or the good thing about Avanti's position, is has 40% of the ERS. So these two cars in front are probably going to be going quite slow on the next straight, and Avanti could maybe even try a double overtake. We'll see how that pans out. Sec now 5 seconds clear of CSAVs in second. Yoshi making a bit of a move up to the back of Wild, the second of the two Ferraris. We'll see if we can watch some pressure being put on Wild on this next straight. Alright, we'll quickly ride on board with Yoshi. We see that that gap has opened up quite a bit, but the DRS on this track is so strong that you just come flying in. Not quite enough to go for a move, but enough to make the person in front have a little think about it and where to position the car. We're going to see Yoshi still sticking on the back, so there could yet be a move made. Obviously on the same age tyres, so not too much of an advantage to having grip, you wouldn't think. Avanti holding on to 20% ERS now, so it's burnt a fair bit. And we do see Julius Cheeser struggling in that Sector 3. I think it was Julius Cheeser. I think having a little bit of a spin there. Possibly out of the chicane. Alright, a little bit further up we can have a look at Yoshi, who's still on the back of Wild. Isn't getting the best exits, but with the DRS and the ERS, it's just not going to matter. Absolutely flies by. Casey pops into the pits on 9 lap old mediums, so is making a fairly early change to the hards. No, to softs. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess maybe you could do 2 stops, two lots of 10 laps. It's going to be pretty risky. Yeah, I don't really know how easy that's going to be. So even though Yoshi got ahead on the previous lap, Wild has managed to stay completely on the back of Yoshi. Only 2 tenths in it, coming down into Sector 3. We should see... Oh, we might even see a move already as Wild takes to the grass to make that move happen. This could play into Yoshi's favor, though, as Yoshi is all over Wild and has the DRS now. Yeah, not even burning the energy, takes the outside this time. Wild not burning too much either, but Yoshi having the advantage at the moment. If we head all the way down the order to Noxie, we'll have a little look on board to see how these soft tyres are going. 8 laps, which could be around what KC is targeting on their strategy. Would need probably at least 8 laps on one of them. We'll see when Noxie decides to pit, and it is. So 8 laps is the limit that Noxie is prepared to go to. We'll see how long Rico can manage. Rico does tend to extend the stops a little bit, so maybe we'll see 10 laps. It'll be very interesting to see the comparison between the two, as they're both on softs, but obviously very different ages. Rico's struggling to stay in the DRS zone though, so we'll lose it. Wild on the straight has the rear wing open, but isn't gaining on Yoshi, so that is probably an indication that Wild has the superior downforce setup. He's going to be gaining in Sector 1, or the end of Sector 1, and Sector 2, but then losing out on the straights, particularly in that DRS zone where he's going to need to burn the energy to make a move on Yoshi. So this is one of the tricky things about setups for this game. You can afford to sometimes run the lower downforce setup and just take... Ooh, that's... that looked like an overtake under yellow flag there. Not sure if Wild was told to hand the position back, but isn't going to. Yoshi's going to let him pass. Doesn't mind doing this again and again and again. 75% ERS for Yoshi. And Wild on 60 will ride on board yet again. This time we'll get a bit of a look at the rear wing of the Ferrari and see Yoshi coming up behind. Are they going to go for a move? No move. Not even an attempt there. But it could just be that these two are more than happy to continue trading spots and saving ERS. 13 laps now on the mediums. They're probably getting close to the end of their strategy, as Rico will be pitting on 8-lap-old softs too. And let's see what Rico goes for. So going back on to 4-lap-old mediums, the strategies are getting weird at this point. Yeah, that can't be an optimal strategy, but maybe doesn't need to, or like because they've already swapped compounds, thinking that the mediums that they only spent a few laps on are probably best. It could be a good choice. We might see. Sek now, your race leader, has popped into the pits and will be swapping onto these fresh hards. And the same for Wild too. So Wild in the Ferrari has also come out on the fresh softs. We see a bunch of these medium runners coming in now. So all looking to cover off what Sek has done. We see, though, that Val has managed to work their way up into 5th, and with a lucky safety car, could be all the way back in this race. Avanti coming in for fresh soft tyres. Aussie Dude on fresh hards, so a pretty big pretty big difference in what people think is the right way to go for the rest of this one. Hards are going to go very well for 15 laps. We can see CSAVs still plugging away, now in first, but obviously yet to stop and change tyres. The hards are looking absolutely fine. We'll probably do 20 to 25. In the Schumacher race earlier, I did most of the race on hards. I did get a puncture at the end on the last third of the final lap. It's pretty heartbreaking. Lost 2 spots. Don't want to talk about it. Further back though, we have the Viking, who is on a bit of an alternate strategy. Started on those softs. Is now onto a set of mediums that are well into their life. Probably coming towards the end of it at about 9 laps. Probably want to be changing around 15. Probably don't need to go too much further than that. Obviously has the fresher tyres, so is heaping the pressure on Valhalla. Backs off a bit there, wants to keep the DRS as we're coming up to the detection line. Where is it? Right there. So we'll have the DRS, and you've got to expect an overtake is coming. We'll ride on board with Valhalla, who's burning the energy, trying to keep a hold of this. But you can see Viking just closing and closing. Isn't going to be quite there to make a move, but Stace all over the back could be making a move now as Valhalla goes defensive and into the corner, keeps the position, but burns a ton of energy to keep that one. So we have CSAVs popping into the pits on the hards, probably coming out on mediums now. So he's going for the 1 stop. We'll see whereabouts they find themselves. So we're going to have Yoshi overtake, obviously yet to stop. Sek as well will be overtaking too. Is Val not quite? So Val didn't quite make up enough to jump Sek yet, but of course does still need to stop. It's possible that Val is going to be looking to stay out as long as possible, wait for a safety car, see if it comes, and if not, you can always pop in with 8 laps to go onto the softs. It's probably not optimal, but it'll do. We have an Alpine sideways in Sector 3 of Snickers, who's down in 14th. So with the 15-lap-old hards, that could be an indication that they're probably done, or getting close to done. But very impressive to see. We'll see if they pop in. Yeah, they do. So, oh no. What am I watching? So Snickers, I think, was trying to dummy me by popping into the pits, and then might have tapped the wall. Yeah, sketch. Anyway, Yoshi up in front though on 18 lap old mediums. This is impressive. These have got to be right on the limit of. Oh, Snickers trying to retire. Okay, that makes sense, because I was, I thought that there was some weird stuff happening. So Val chooses to pit and comes out on soft, so is probably going to go for 2 lots of 6 laps, or a 6 and a 7, or something like that. Has moved up into 8th though. Has Cat in front on similar age tyres. And then Casey, who's going to need to pit soon. And then just harder compounds ahead. So is Val going to be able to put down the kind of pace to make up for that second stop? It's usually not the case. Snickers does the good guy thing, comes into the pits before retiring to prevent a safety car. So we all thank you, Snickers. Next time, don't freak me out so much, though, about crashing. But yes, if you're going to retire, always go into the pit first. It obviously just prevents the rest of the race getting messed up. Yoshi now coming out on the fresh hards. In 5th. These hards are going to go all the way to the end and be pretty much the same. They are cold though, so Kato is going to be looking to take advantage of that and is holding it around the outside and gets it. So the huge difference in temps there coming out of the pit, Yoshi just cannot hold that. Probably doesn't need to though, as we'll pick up a little bit of DRS here, which isn't the worst thing. CSAVs now though on the softer compound tyres, also the fresher tyres, is just 1.5-ish seconds away from Sec. So the battle for first is very much on, which is not completely unexpected. Down to 6% ERS though, and about 20 for Sec. So Sec will have the advantage on the straights. Of course, CSAVs will have the DRS, and around here it is incredibly powerful. Probably one of the only tracks where DRS is still super OP. It's pretty useless everywhere else, except maybe Belgium. CSAVs though is in range, and so the lack of ERS is not going to matter. Okay, burning a little bit just to keep in range, but we'll have the chance to just harvest energy now for as long as they need to. Keep putting a Sec under pressure, make them burn energy, and we will see how we go. So without burning energy, CSAVs can close up about 4/10 on Sec, which is going to be interesting to remember. 2/10 now the gap. With the softer compound tyres though, CSAV should also be quicker in the twisty sections. So we'll see how much ERS they can harvest. 14% now. Sec is on 16. So getting very close. And the closer it gets, the more advantage we have for CSAVs. Bit of a twisty exit there from Sec. CSAVs moves to the outside, but doesn't go for it. Wants to keep the DRS. Is all over the back. You can see just lifting off the throttle if you look at the green bar in the middle right, or middle bottom right of the screen. Lifting off just a little bit. Has the DRS, has the ERS. So moving on the straight. But has managed to put Sec behind. Oh, Okay, okay. All good. That was a bit of a moment. Holy shit. That was close. So Sek... There's been a few people that have put it in the grass and managed to keep it pointing the right way, which is pretty impressive. I feel like on this game in particular, you drop a tire in the grass and you're just gone. But no, we've had 3 or 4 occasions today where people have managed to catch it. We're going to see an exact repeat, though, of what just happened before. CSAV's all over the back, again coming through that chicane. A little bit of tyre spin on the exit there. Sek applying some pressure, using some energy to try and open up that DRS gap. Isn't going to get it. But as we come back onto the straight, we will have another look, see what kind of progress CSAVs can make. Definitely isn't using the energy. And this time only manages about 3/10 of a close. So we'll need to wait for the next lap. We are going to stay on with these two for the time being. Jeez, so close. Sek on 16%, CSAV's on 11%, so it's just very little between them. Sek doing a great job though on the harder compound tyres, staying ahead. We're going to see third time in a row through the chicane. CSAVs with a much better exit this time, was at about 8/10 last lap. The gap now at about 3/10, sorry, so much better off, much closer. We'll ride on board with Sek again. We see the Ferrari emerge from the right-hand side of the screen. And CSAVs has again taken that first place. Now it's going to be important for Sek to stay in range here. Got to keep this gap down below a second. We are also seeing a couple other cars sort of closing up. We've got Wild just 3/10 behind the Viking. We've got Cat just almost hanging on to that DRS range. We've had Vanti, I think, with a bit of a moment. Yeah, on the way into the pits. So we may see a wing change there. Sek has managed to hold on 20% ERS to about 20%, so still doing pretty even in terms of energy, but Sek is at about 8/10 the gap. We will see, as this time we'll ride on board with CSAVs, what the damage is in terms of catching on the straight. So from a gap of about 8/10 to... So there's another about 3/10. That was a sideways car, possibly Avanti, that CSAVs just drove through. So very similar setups. In fact, they're probably running identical wing amounts. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Viking coming in now on 19 lap old mediums, going onto fresh softs that will last the rest of the race, no worries. KC is on 5 lap old softs, so I'm not sure if they pitted already, but we'll probably need to pit again. Rico does to come out on fresh softs, so KC could look to try it this lap to get a good cover off. We do see CSAVs applying the pressure, but Sek still managing to keep in that DRS range as we see some more yellow flags. This time, though, by the end of the straight, has only managed to close up about 3/10. So this could be the lap where CSAVs breaks the DRS and drives off into the sunset. We will have to see. Sek, though, managing to eke out a little bit of an ERS lead. CSAV's obviously pushing to try and drop the DRS and has done it. So we're right on board with Sek not using the energy. Cuts that chicane aggressively. And then, at probably the worst timing ever for a safety car, we see who do we see? We see Avanti. So Avanti, what? Is it raining? Am I not seeing it? So we see Valhalla coming out on Inters. That's a risky one. Oh no! And Valhalla has unfortunately come out right where CSAVs is. So CSAVs has the classic issue now of being in first and very little choice on whether or not to stay out. Sek, being in second, can pop into the pits, come out on fresh softs, and he's going to have a back marker in the way, but other than that, it's not going to be an issue. Kato also comes out on Inters, so there's rain coming for sure. I can't quite see it yet. No, can't see any... Oh, we do see some drops. Okay, so it is raining with 4 laps to go. After safety car, there'll be about 2 or 3. This is going to get real tricky. What's Val going to do? Val's come out on fresh softs. KC on Inters. Viking on Inters. Noxy probably on Inters too? Noxy on Inters too. Rico going for Inters. So, oh god. This is going to get real sketch. Is CSAV's going to come in? Pretty much can't at this point. Just going to cost way too much. As we see a bit of an incident under the safety car that we're going to see here. Aussie dude has had an unfortunate situation on the last corner, and CSAVs will pit, and so is Sek. So not going to risk it. Probably very wise. Is Wild going to stay out? Wild is barely hanging in there. Is Val going to stay out? No chance. Surely everybody comes in at this point, right? The front 3 are all on the softs. Wait, hold on. Does the safety car just wait for them? I didn't know that. I did not know that the safety car would just wait for you. That's great. Well, there you go. So definitely the right strategy. Val pops into the pits. Will be Inters. And by the time this all gets sorted out, we'll probably only have 2 laps remaining. So pretty much everything squared off for a bit of a final lap sprint. We do have a notification that some of the people in this race that have left are already jumping into CSGO. Big respect for that. So yeah, we got a wet race on our hands. We've had wet weather in all 3 stages of the weekend. We had a wet one-shot quali, 4 laps of dry sprint racing and then into the wet tyres there. And then 28 laps of dry racing in the main one with a 2-lap dash to the end on the wettest of inters. Obviously things can get wetter, but... So, I think there was somebody that was out of position, right? But they've moved, I guess? Yeah, we had somebody that was just behind C-Savs that might have pitted. I'm not sure. Could have been Valhalla, actually. Oh, yeah, it probably when the front 3 came into the pits, yeah. Sorry, I'm kind of losing track of what's happening here. So we're at lap 30. Once we start racing, we'll have lap 31 and 32, so it will just be the 2 laps if the safety car comes in this lap, which you would hope that it would. Val has managed a pretty good recovery from 15th up to 7th. We'll see if there's any more going on. Possibly a position change between Yoshi and Cat under safety car. I'm not sure about that, but that's what I'm being told. That's what my observers in the chat are telling me. It happens. If you come off the track, sometimes the computer will tell you to overtake, which is, obviously unfortunate. We see a McLaren there with some tyres in the grass. Alright, so safety car in this lap. Unfortunate for... Who's that right at the back? Valhalla. Won't be able to catch up. But we will see the restart, and we're going to watch on board with Kato. And Yoshi picks up a 5-second penalty there for a little bit of contact. Now, under safety car, that can be basically nothing. But obviously we don't know for sure. We're going to see C-Savs restarting. Sorry, I just had to sneeze. Bad timing. So Sek down the line, following on with C-Savs. We see a position change there. Viking getting just ahead of Val. We also see Yoshi and Cat, and we see a massive amount of debris there. That is probably Cat's front wing, or a piece of it. Wild with a penalty there for cutting corners. So we'll be dropping down probably a couple of spots. Penalties at this point are going to be really tricky to deal with. KC, though, all the way up into 3rd, so a podium position here for KC. Definitely turn off your ERS, though, KC, my dude. That is risky to be doing in the wet. Please turn it off. It's giving me anxiety. Oh, my God. Okay. Well, KC obviously knows something I don't, so that's fine. Val now up into 5th. Has somehow overtaken the Viking. I've missed pretty much everything that's happened here. Val running a little wide. Wild running a little wide, giving Val the run, but not managing to find it. Second has been opened up between 1st and Sek. Huh. And running wide there from Wild gives Val the perfect run on the straight. So as it stands now, for this lap, we have C-Savs up in front. Sek struggling to stay on the back. burning a lot of energy. CSAV's with a ton left. Sek managing to get a good run through turns 1, 2, and 3, though, has managed to close the gap. Really not much in the way of an overtaking chance, though. Really just after this uphill right-hander down into the chicane. So we'll see if there's any moves that occur there. We do have some very close cars a little further back, so once this chicane is passed, we will check in with them. No problems there, that should be fine. So Yoshi with a penalty there. Noxy, Rico all queuing up behind Wild. This is not good for Noxy, who has Rico all over the back of him and just wants to keep the position. But crossing the line, we will have CSAV's Sek in second and KC in third to round out the podium, with Val just a 10th behind. Viking picks up a 5th place after the penalties, and that is all I could say before it disappeared, but we will see the rest. Noxy in 6th though, I can say that. Driver of the day, Val, pretty good. Yeah, from 15th all the way up to, what was it, 4th? Very decent. Here we go though. The man himself, CSAVs with the win. Beautiful. Majestic. The robot. The top step. And a well-earned victory for this one. The Ferrari pit crew are so thrilled. And the champagne. So, yeah, we had Noxy in 6th, Wild in 7th, with an unfortunate end to the race there. Rico in 8th. Snickers, who I think retired along with some of the other drivers. No, they didn't. No, so Snickers did finish. No, we can see the little dash. I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, so CSAV's 4th, or 4 points in the sprint race, and 25 plus the fastest lap point, will walk away with 30 points in the Hakkinen series. Sek with just a couple less, having won the sprint, will make up for that a little bit. So there we go. There is the Hakkinen Imola sprint race weekend Grand Prix. It was a bit of a banger, you know, a lot of wet weather. It always makes things fun. And that's it. So, thanks for watching on, for those that did. Thanks for chatting, for those that did. Admin, thank you for your messages and watching along with the stream. Next week is going to be Miami, which is always a fun one. New track, first time the Hakkinen series will be racing on it. So yeah, tune in next week for that. Thanks as always to the sponsors. You can see them up on the screen there. Sully Shirts, Sim Racing SA, and Shutter Media. Visit the website, join the Discord, jump on if you want to join a league. We got tons of them. If you want to jump in some normal, casual 5-lappers, we do that too. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Jump in. Alright, that is all from me. We will see you again next week. Thank you all.